everyone, welcome back to my backyard organic garden. My name's Christina. I am a backyard organic grower, gardener, and I grow in Zone 8A, South Arkansas. So today I'm going to talk to you about how my onions did when I topped them. I did make a video earlier. I will link that up here or down below. And I've had some questions about, did it work? Did the topping onions work? And so I wanted to get into that with you today. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage or photos of my onions, really how they did. If you go back to any of my garden tours, you can kind of look at them after I topped them. That's pretty much how they did. They didn't really get just too big, but I do have a few onions here that I cured and stored, and so I'll show you those today. But I wanted to go over some information with you. Okay, so first let's start with what I used. There are different ways you can grow onions. The ways that I'm familiar with is, well, first, okay, look, let's put this disclaimer out there. I am not an expert. I am like a second-year gardener, and really the purpose of my channel and these videos right now is just to document my journey, to document, you know, what I'm doing in my garden, what works, what doesn't work, and just the knowledge that I'm gaining from that. This is not a how-to, this is just showing you how I'm doing it, what I'm doing. Okay, there are 3 ways that I know of that you can start onions. First is from seed. This is what I did. I used these Hass Sweet Harvest Onion seeds, and you can start these. I started them in my house under grow lights and grew them to be about, they were about this size right here. The second way you can do it is to grow onion slips, which are immature onions that someone else has started in their greenhouse and grown them into quite elaborate little plants. I mean, they're a lot bigger than this. This is very tiny. This is very skinny. The ones I've seen online, you know, are probably this big around. I mean, they're pretty healthy plants. And you know, you receive those in the mail, you plant them in the garden, and then they continue to grow in your garden. A third way that I've known is onion sets or onion bulbs. And so these you can find like in Walmart. They'll be in a little bag in the gardening section, and they're just really small onions that you plant. And the thing with those is that they're not really going to grow into a big onion. And I did those last year, and I really didn't get anything bigger than a golf ball size. And I did top my onions last year, so you know, I'm not really doing that anymore. I started with seeds. I wanted to read you just a little bit of information about this particular variety because I really think the size of your onion is going to depend on the variety it is. I mean, that's just how kind of most things are. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this particular variety, and then we'll go into like the size of it. It's a Sweet Harvest onion. It says it's 100 days on here, but I did look on their website recently and it said it was 150 days. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, but it's a short day onion. In my part of the country, I'm in the southern United States, I need a short day onion. If you go a little bit north and you're like the middle of the United States, you need an intermediate day onion. And if you're above that in the northern United States, you need a long day onion. So I need a short day onion, and that's what this is. It says it's a hybrid Vidalia approved variety with high sugar content and low pungency. It's a Granix shaped variety that produces large to jumbo sized onions that are bolt tolerant into late spring, and they are disease resistant to pink rot. So a couple of things I can attest to is they do have a low pungency. They are very sweet onions. I love to eat them. And then they are bolt tolerant. I didn't have any issues with bolt tolerance. Some of the issues that I had was that, you know, I started them under grow lights on February 11th, and I transplanted them out about 5 or 6 weeks later. And like I said, they were only about this size when I transplanted them out. And I planted the roots shallow so that because I've read and I've heard that when you plant them, if you plant them too deep, then they won't have, you know, the room to bulb out. So I planted them shallow, and they were all kind of floppy, you know, they were all kind of like this. But over a few days, they took root and they started to grow up towards the sun, and they were really strong plants. April 27th was the first time I topped my onions, and that was the video that I have posted on my channel. I went through and topped all of those, and I had been fertilizing with fish emulsion, liquid fertilizer, and also bone meal and blood meal. I only did that probably 3 or 4 times throughout the growing period out in the garden. The first week of May, so about a week later after I topped my onions, I spooned around my onions, which is an old term for removing the dirt around the outside of the onion to give it more room to bulb out. So I spooned around my onions, and then the whole month of May we had rain. It was rainy day after rainy day. I don't even know how many inches we got, but it was incredible. I mean, everything was just soaking wet, and we had kind of mild temperatures, so nothing really dried out. And I noticed around the first week of June that they were starting to look kind of sickly. I went ahead and topped them a second time because they had grown quite a bit. I think I should have topped them a little bit shorter than what I did. I'm not a very good onion hairdresser. I realized that from watching that video. Like, it's like this. So I should have taken off more to begin with. That is just my rookie opinion. Like I said, they started to get sickly. They were kind of yellow, they had spots on them, they had some type of blight or rot or something, and in fact it was getting so moist in the raised bed that some of my onions did rot in the bed, or were beginning to rot. So I decided a week later on June 10th to harvest my onions. So I did the math, and they took 119 days from seed to when I harvested them. I think they probably could have gotten a lot bigger had they not had so much rain and rotted and had to be pulled so early. I don't know, you know, that's just something that we're gonna have to address in the fall or next spring when I decide to plant onions again. For the harvest itself, I harvested about 15 pounds of onions, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for our family, you know, we're a family of 4. I processed about 10 pounds of the onions. I cut them up, diced them up, and put them in freezer bags to put in the freezer, and I'll just use them throughout the year as I needed. And then about 5 pounds of them I was able to cure and store just as like fresh onions. Now I know they're not going to store very long because they are a more sweet onion, and as far as I know, the more pungent the onion, the longer it keeps. And I have noticed that some of my stored onions are starting to sprout, so I need to go ahead and like take care of those and get those in the freezer too. But I wanted to show you, without further ado, this is about the average size of these onions I got this year. It's alright, it's not great. Now Travis over at Lazy Dog Farms, he grew some Sweet Harvest onions, and that was his #1 onion, and it was the biggest onion he had, and they were ginormous, okay? Mine are not that big. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the fertilizing schedule or what the deal is. If you have success with growing onions, comment below and let me know kind of your regimen, and I will try some new things because I really want to get some good onions, okay? But anyway, this is like the general size. I had a little bit more that were like a little bit bigger, and then we had some that were a little bit smaller. See, that's like, it's all right, you know? I don't know. So that's your update on topping onions. If it worked, if it didn't work, my rookie opinion is that I think it helped, but I don't think that it necessarily contributed to a bigger bulb onion, if that makes sense. But we'll try again next year. So stay tuned for any more updates. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.